But because we're playing in the crypto industry, we decided to look at tokenizing it. And then the more we looked at the token, the more we liked the features that come with it. The two main features, of course, are price discovery and then liquidity. As Carlos said in the introduction, valuing liquid assets is something that security tokens are going to be really good at. And the other secondary benefit, of course, is liquidity. So those are the main reasons that we were looking at it. We can't really be players in this space the way that we want to be unless we start through the process first. So one of the advantages that we have when we were starting our business, and whether it's the cryptocurrency side or the security token side, is that we've lived through the process. And working with Securitize as our partners it really taught us a lot about this particular space and some of the interesting things that we didn't expect along the way. But I'll leave that for later.
And then when you come along and you look at fundraising, we had this intersection in August of last year, I think, where we were entertaining our Series B valuations and offers. And it just became obvious, I think. And I think it's probably why everybody's here and why who's here now has bought into crypto is it's just obvious that VC's dead, right? Like it's just a matter of time, but VC's dead. And so when you for everybody, like I can't tell you how many investors we have that like got squirrely or worried about it or whatever else. And even that's its own model, right? A lot of them were like Carlos said, are you going to go to jail, right? Like what happens if it's bottom line? What happens if you guys get the blah, 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 blah. So, but the point is that, post this, they have an opportunity that like if they don't believe, they can just get off the ride, right? They don't have to like put their money in for 7 years or 10 years and be locked up and need to deal with like crawling, all over you about, what's the performance this week or that quarter or whatever, where they need board seats and they need control and you're fighting for this as the entrepreneur and all of those things. You eminently have an elegant way to break up with investors if you were so inclined, or vice versa. So liquidity is the cute word. I won't say cute word, but like liquidity is the favorable word we say because everybody favors liquidity and you can get off it in some ways. But also it's flexibility, right? It's flexibility in financing. It's flexibility whether you want to do a whole product, or flexibility whether you want to do equity, or flexibility whether you want to do board votes and control and all that. And in that way, the feature set is so much more rich. It's like TV versus radio, right? So I'm sure at some point everybody was like, radio's not dead, and I don't know, FM's gonna change the future, but it's just so obvious to me, right? Like it's color TV here, so that's why we're in the space, and we either had the fortune or the misfortune to like have traversed this like incredibly hard regulatory environment. And I will say, we are at this point 30 days away from launching in New York, where we've passed regulatory and statute laws now. So for anybody who actually lives here in New York, you'll get to play online through us officially next month, probably.
I was convinced that VCs have been there for like 20 years, since I started really building tech companies. In that period of time, I raised over $250 million for different startups. The biggest success story that I had is a company that was a reverse merger with a voice IP company out of China in 1999 with a almost bankrupt real estate company in Miami, and we turned it into $2 billion exit. So when people say that, tokens or all that is risky, I'm like, we've seen risky, but we've seen what you could do when you are creative and you follow regulations. And we took it public, that company particularly, and so when I met Carlos in January, he told me sort of the vision of security tokens. I'm like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I need. Because ourselves, the same thing that you describing, the VCs don't get it, and they don't get, especially in our case, we have a company that turns data into knowledge for really large enterprises. We have a revenue generating company with 40 Fortune 1000 companies, corporations. And my vision was I want to create a marketplace. I want knowledge to be to be able to be transacted in a safe way. And obviously we looked at blockchain as a technology, and I said I want to create and VCs didn't really get what I was trying to do. So what we're doing is actually trying to innovate a model where we actually offering two mechanisms for an investor. We're selling a security token, which is an equity interest in our company, and we're giving away a utility token of a protocol that we announced Monday we're creating called Graphos, which would be an operating system for knowledge graphs. And we're building that with a consortium of companies. So in a way, we sort of giving two mechanisms for the investor to be able to realize value. But obviously, the equity is very traditional. It will be tied to the success of our company in traditional metrics. And then Graphos in itself, if it evolves, given the vision that we have, could actually make the investment quite lucrative. So it's the only way that we were able to experiment in this thing. And I talk to VCs and they don't really understand what I'm saying to this day, which actually for me is amazing because it means that there's a window for those of us that are have the balls or the cojones to go for this. So yeah, that's it.